Hello everybody, my name's Ed Ponzi. Welcome back. It's good to speak to you again. I've been on vacation, Rick's been on vacation, but we're back. We're back in the city. We're actually getting ready to head over to CNBC in just a few minutes for an appearance on television tonight on CNBC Asia. We're going to talk about all kinds of different currencies. We're going to be talking about what's going on in Cyprus. And I thought I'd give you a quick rundown because you're probably hearing a lot about Cyprus. It might seem confusing. It's really not. It's actually pretty simple. And there's some great trading opportunities coming out of this whole situation in Cyprus. So let's lay it down. First of all, I want you to understand something. Cyprus is broke. Okay? Now, last week, the Troika, that's the European Union, the European Central Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, the Troika, they suggested that depositors, people who have their money in the bank in Cyprus, should chip in to pay for this bailout. They were going to reach into everybody's account, big account, small account, and take some money out of it. People flipped out a little bit. If you think about it, there are probably a lot more people who have small accounts, in other words, under 100,000 euros, than have big accounts. So then they said, well, wait a second. Let's just pick on the rich people, right? We'll let everybody under 100,000 go. And it's just like FDIC insurance in the US, similar to that, right? So they're going to let those folks go, and they're going to hit really hard the folks who have over 100,000 euros. So the original proposal included all depositors, and that was shot down by Parliament in Cyprus. Now, here's the positive side. If you're going to be making citizens pay for their own bailout, maybe they'll become a little bit concerned about how much money their government is spending. Maybe they'll pay a little more attention to that, and they'll say, hey, you know, maybe we don't need to run up a huge deficit all the time. Maybe we can actually, you know, treat it like a business or a household instead of just spending way too much money and getting in deep trouble. That might be one positive outcome of this type of proposal. But there's a negative outcome also, and it's a huge negative. It's unbelievable. Okay, the negative is you're reaching into someone's account and helping yourself to someone's money, and where I come from, that's called stealing. Now, they're trying to rationalize it in a variety of ways. Hey, we're only going to steal from the rich people. We're not really stealing, you know, they're just paying in. They're bailing in, you know, and we're only hurting Russian oligarchs and other people who are using Cyprus as a place to stash money. Cyprus is kind of like the Cayman Islands when it comes to that sort of thing. A lot of people have big accounts down there, and they're going to help themselves to big chunks of those accounts, apparently. Another rationalization that they use is, hey, it's only going to be a one-time event, a unique event. It's only going to happen in Cyprus. It's only going to happen once. You see, this whole thing was not put out by Cyprus. This isn't Cyprus's idea. No, this is the idea of, again, the European Union, the ECB, the IMF all signed off on this. The head of the European finance ministers is a man named Dijsselbloem. Now, Mr. D, first of all, up until now, he's been saying, hey, this is a one-time event. It's a unique event. It's only going to happen once. Then on March 25th, the next day, he says, look, if there's a problem, if necessary, we're going to go after uninsured deposit holders again. And people are like, oh my gosh, as of yesterday, it was a one-time event. And now it seems like, hey, this is standard operating procedure. So you know what's going to happen the next time that, you know, that there's a problem. They're going to start looking at the depositors again, whether it's in, maybe it's not going to be in Cyprus. Maybe it'll be in Greece or Portugal, or maybe it'll be in Italy or Spain. So anyway, people start freaking out, and the stock market starts going down because they're saying, oh my gosh, you know, this whole financial crisis begins and ends with the banks. And a lot of what's being done by central banks is designed to do what? Push money into the banks. Now, if you scare people into believing that their money is not safe in the bank, they're going to pull that money out. That's going to weaken the European banks, and that just begins the whole process over again. I mean, it couldn't be worse if you think about it from that standpoint. And this is why it's also impacting the US market. It's going to hurt Europe, and 18% of the S&P 500 profits come from Europe. So it's going to hurt profits in the US, and now the US stock market starts going down. Okay, so anyway, 3 hours later, Dijsselbloem is back in front of the mic. He says, hey, Cyprus is a specific case. There are no models. There are no templates. In other words, he was basically denying what he said 3 hours earlier. The markets go back up. Now, I don't know about you, but I think he was being, perhaps we should say, was it an honest mistake, what Mr. Dijsselbloem said first, or was he mistakenly being honest? That's what I suspect. He let the cat out of the bag, he let the toothpaste out of the tube, and now he's trying to push that toothpaste back into the tube. No, really, I didn't mean it. Okay, so anyway, listen, I know we have a lot of fans in Europe. I love you guys so much, and I'm definitely worried about you, especially if you have more than 100,000 euros in your bank account. If it's a German bank account, I'm probably not that concerned. If it's a Swiss bank account, you know, I'm not concerned. But, you know, countries like Greece and Portugal are currently being bailed out. It is an ongoing process. And at some point, well, the Europeans might want to take a look at those accounts and say, maybe these folks can pay in for their bailout a little bit. And maybe they start talking about reaching into those Greek bank accounts and those Portuguese bank accounts. So I would start to be very concerned. And also, down the line, you know, Spain and Italy are not being bailed out, but they might need that at some point. And you never know. You know, this could be a retroactive thing. You never know. So I think right now, all over Europe, a lot of people are thinking about maybe moving their money out of European banks, maybe moving it into a Swiss bank, a German bank, a US bank. Obviously, a German bank is a European bank, but Germany, let's just say, you know, I'm not as worried about Germany as I would be about, say, Greece. The moral of the story is stealing is wrong. And the problem that I see here is this. Now you have crossed a line. Now you've actually reached into people's accounts and taken money out. You've got every excuse in the world. Well, it's a tiny country. Well, we're just picking on the rich people. Well, you know, they're just people who are laundering money. But believe me, once you say that it's okay to steal under certain conditions, now those conditions can change. Now we can reach into other people's bank accounts and rationalize it, and that's, I think, the biggest fear that people have about this whole situation. It undermines confidence in the European banks, which is not a good thing. They're definitely making Ms. Merkel in Germany out to be the villain here, and I'll tell you what, the Russians are very upset. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of an economic repercussion from out of Russia at some point, perhaps aimed at Germany, because, again, you know, these ideas to reach into people's accounts, this did not come out of Cyprus. This came from the European Union, the ECB, and the IMF. Now, to just put the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, there's protests in the streets of Cyprus, and the folks in Cyprus are carrying signs and they're chanting, and you know what they're saying? They're saying, "We are first, you're next." So watch out. Whenever you say that it's okay to steal, it's a slippery slope. And at some point, that hand could be reaching into your bank account. So be very careful, especially if you're in a country that's being bailed out in Europe. Take care. And thank you very much. Now, before I wrap up, I also would like to point out, we're coming to the end of March. It's springtime. I can't wait. Rick and I are all done having snowball fights and building snowmen and skiing, and we can't wait for springtime to start hitting the beach. Now, here's the deal. Rick has a great, awesome deal right now. If you sign up for 1 year of mentoring, you can get a course for free, either the Forex course or the stock course. Listen, we have the best courses anywhere. This I know. And you can get it for free. All you do is sign up for 1 year of mentoring. Now, how are people going to make money off of the situation in Europe? How are we going to make a profit off of that? That's something I'll be discussing in the mentoring class tomorrow. So all of you folks that have signed up for mentoring, I look forward to seeing you very soon. We'll be talking very shortly about how to profit from this situation. And again, for my friends in Europe, please be careful and think about alternative plans, things you might want to do to move your money around. I'm on my way to CNBC for an interview. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you again really soon. My name is Ed Ponzi from edponzi.com. Thank you very much for listening.